Welcome to the California Housing and Community Development Training Series. Today's session is titled Labor Standards Overview. This training will focus on an overview of labor standards laws, the Davis-Bacon Act, the Contract Work Hours and Safety Standards Act, the Copeland Anti-kickback Act, labor standards workflow, and finally, resources. The Davis-Bacon and Related Acts, or DBRA, generally refers to the labor and wage standards required by the following acts. First, the Davis-Bacon Act. Second, the Contract Work Hours and Safety Standards Act. And third, the Copeland Anti-kickback Act. The Davis-Bacon Act requires all contractors and subcontractors to pay all laborers and mechanics working on the site of work the full amount of wages and fringe benefits at rates not less than those contained in the applicable wage determination. These requirements apply to all construction contracts funded in whole or in part with $2,000 or more in CDBG CV funds and/or any other federal funds. For rehabilitation of residential properties, DBRA requirements only apply to properties containing 8 or more units. The Contract Work Hours Safety Standards Act requires all contractors and subcontractors to pay all laborers and mechanics working on the site of work 1 1/2 times their basic rate of pay for all hours worked over 40 hours in a work week. These requirements apply to all construction contracts funded in whole or in part with $100,000 or more in CDBG CV funds and/or any other federal funds. The Copeland Anti-kickback Act prohibits contractors and subcontractors performing work on covered contracts from in any way inducing an employee to give up any part of their pay or compensation. These requirements apply to all construction contracts funded in whole or in part with any CDBG CV funds and/or any other federal funds. Grantees and subrecipients must perform different tasks during the following phases of DBRA-covered projects. During the procurement phase, grantees must determine if the project triggers DBRA requirements, and if so, insert DBRA language, documents, and the applicable wage determination into bid documents. After the bidder is selected, and prior to the start of construction, DBRA language and the applicable wage determination must also be inserted into the contract. Contractors and subcontractors should be provided training on how to comply with Davis-Bacon requirements, including the submittal of weekly certified payroll reports. After construction begins, and throughout the remainder of the project, grantees must collect and review certified payroll reports and related documentation, perform employee interviews, and provide written notification to contractors to remedy underpayments and other violations, and report labor standards violations on a semi-annual basis. After construction is completed, but before the project is closed out, grantees must ensure all underpayments and violations are remedied by all contractors and subcontractors. And finally, submit a final semi-annual labor standards report. HUD and the Department of Labor provide the following forms, among others, to assist with DBRA compliance. The WH-347 Certified Payroll Report, the HUD 4730 Employee Questionnaire, the HUD 4010 Federal Labor Standards Provisions, the WH-1321 Davis-Bacon Job Site Poster, the HUD 4710 Semi-Annual Labor Report, and the 5.7 Enforcement Report. So now, let's test your knowledge. For each of the 3 DBRA acts, identify the threshold that determines the Act's applicability and what each Act requires. The answers are provided on the next slide. Here are the answers. How'd you do? The Contract Work Hours and Safety Standards Act requires overtime pay for hours worked over 40 hours per week and is required for federally funded construction contracts valued at $100,000 or more. The Davis-Bacon Act requires the payment of prevailing wages and is required for federally funded construction contracts valued at $2,000 or more. Please note that the Davis-Bacon Act is only applicable to housing rehabilitation projects in which the residential property contains 8 or more units. The Copeland Anti-kickback Act prohibits contractors from requesting workers to return their pay and is required for all federally funded construction contracts, regardless of the funding amount. The following resources for the Davis-Bacon Act, Contract Work Hours and Safety Standards Act, and Copeland Anti-Kickback Act can be found on the Department of Labor website. Thank you for attending this California Housing and Community Development training session on labor standards. If you have any further questions, please contact your grant administrator.